What's in your diary?
What's in your diary?
What's in your diary?
What's in yours?
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the It's Not Your Diary podcast. How is everybody doing out there? I hope y'all doing good. I'm doing pretty good. I do have a few announcements before we hop into this episode. One is that I'm actually revamping our store right now. So if you want, you can go ahead and shop what's in there, but I'm actually revamping. We can be looking forward to that sometime around October. I'll keep y'all up to date on that. And I actually am also offering a mastermind. It's only $5. As y'all know, we've been doing for this whole month of August a 30-day challenge, which actually is ending soon next week. So yes, we're doing a mastermind for anybody who couldn't keep up with the journals or is just still having a hard time letting go of control. We will be doing that August 31st. And you can actually go to our website, it's notyourdiary.com, and make sure you go ahead and book your spot. They'll actually be going fast. So I only made it limited to a few people only because I wanted to be intimate. I want to just get to know everybody, get to know how the journaling has been going for everybody, and just so y'all can give me some feedback so we can meet face to face and all that good stuff. All of our new listeners that we were able to get over this little break before the season started. And then another announcement that I have is that our videos, so all the videos I've been meeting face to face on Zoom with all of our guests and even myself, I've been recording live. So all of those will actually be available on YouTube. The goal is September 1st, but it might take a little longer. I'm actually hiring interns right now to just be able to help me out in this season so that I can put some of my energy in other places so that I can bring y'all some different things and just so I can work a little bit better and just be able to provide more for y'all. So yes, those are the two announcements for today. And then I feel like there was something else that I was supposed to be telling y'all about, but if I don't remember, I'll tell you at the end. If I remember at the end, if not, then oh well. I'll just probably post it later. But yeah, thanks for tuning in to another episode. I've been getting some great feedback from last week's episode with Raven. It like that episode was just so good. And like God was really like putting it on my heart to just go ahead and upload that one because that wasn't supposed to be her episode. Supposed to be like later, like episode 7. And yeah, I went ahead and put that out because God had really put it on my heart. And um before I hop into this episode and this topic for today, I did want to do, I got the segments, of course, ready to go. So for this segment, it's actually a new segment called Recharge, and it's basically where I allow our guests and myself to kind of just reflect on our lives. And actually, this segment for me today is gonna kind of flow into the rest of the episode. So recharge, what has life taught you recently? So what has life taught me that is going to allow me to kind of recharge my thinking? And this name, I actually got it, well, not got it, but it's inspired by my book club that I told y'all about. And I hope y'all don't get tired of me saying this, but I just got to give shout outs to my friend Carla because she started a book club and it's called She Charge. So I designed this segment based off of her obedience, her talking to God. I designed this little segment just based off of the book club, because this book club really allows me to feel recharged and just being around women of God. So yes, that is where the name came from. You might hear me say it a few more times. I'm sorry, but I gotta let y'all know, and I gotta give credit where credit is due. So yes, what's really recharging me in this season, honestly, is being around other people who can give you advice from God, like people who are hearing from God, are praying for you, are praying about you, are praying around you. And for this segment, mine is really just being recharged by all the people in my life, and just getting filled back up from, like, because I pour out so much. I'm constantly talking, constantly creating content, and that's a lot going out, but being able to recharge and reset and take the time that I really need to become better, focus a little better, and that's also another reason why I'm hiring an intern, so I can really be able to recharge in a way that y'all need me to, in a way that God needs me to. And yeah, so the people in my life, the people who have really just been seeking God in this season have really just been recharging me. And the topic for today is actually, oh, sorry. The people in my life have been recharging me because, and it's really just been eye-opening for me because of the fact that I had gotten to a position this week where I was just feeling myself like the devil was really just at me. He was at me hard. And, me and my husband, like, we had a few issues, and, I was trying to communicate with him, and he wasn't really receiving. And then his whole thing, like, jumped from what was going on to immediately, like, speaking about divorce. And me, like, on this podcast is a place where I can truly be vulnerable with all of you, because I want you to be able to really see how God works. So I was basically explaining to my husband, in just a time where we're having just like an conversation of me just kind of letting him in about, like, 'cause, everything that he was doing was just starting to annoy me. And I really just had to let him know, like, I've been having an internal battle that has nothing to do with you. And yes, everything you're doing is annoying me. But really, I'm not upset with you. I'm upset with myself. And so that is what today's topic is about, because I know, and when I start feeling this way, God was like, there are other people who feel this way, who have these feelings, and they can't even explain them or describe them. And so that was really why I wanted to come on here today to talk about the topic of the internal battle, because you never realize that you're having an internal battle until it's too late. And I feel like that's kind of what almost happened with us, because, it was almost too late. And if I would have just let the devil have his way with me, and if I would have just let him, talk that talk, because, he be talking that good talk. When the devil start talking to you, everything he's saying is true. Like, it's all validate, like your feelings, you feeling upset about anything, me feeling just like confused, me feeling just like tired. When you just get so tired, you're just like, oh, I just don't, this would just be a lot easier if I just walked away from this whole situation. So I turned my light back on, but for anybody who watches this, I just really found myself having this internal battle and just needing to be able to talk to him about it. Just like, I'm I'm dealing with my own things and it has nothing to do with you. And this is me talking to him and just explaining, like, you know, I'm upset with myself now. I'm upset with my younger self that I even stayed with you. But I'm not telling you this because I'm angry that I stay with you. I'm telling you that I'm upset with my younger self that I stay with you and I put up with so much, and I was just worried and stressed out and trying to fix everything. Like, I was so caught up in this idea of like not wanting to let things go that I got to a point where now that I see clearly, now that my emotions aren't involved, that I'm upset. I and this is what I told him. I'm working through things on my own. And that is a lot for a person to take, but it's also important that when you're in a relationship, in a serious relationship, and you're looking to get married or you're engaged or whatever, that you are vulnerable to that point, even if what you say the person might not like it, but it might be necessary for you to get to the next step, or for you to be able to have that clarity that you need to just be together and be better together. And so that was kind of this whole thing that I was going through. And, I shared these feelings and I'm like, yes, but what I'm saying is I'm upset with me. I'm upset with my younger self. And what I need from you is to support me in this. But what I need from myself is to be able to forgive my younger self, because God didn't allow me to go through all the things that I went through for no reason. Like, clearly he has his bigger purpose and he always does. But that's very hard for someone to receive, of course. But it's like, how often are we having these internal battles, and how often are we like on the edge, of just like blowing everything up? And how often are we just holding so much in because we can't even put in words the battle that we're having on the inside? And I just think in that moment, it was this whole thing of like, well, him and completely understanding where he was coming from. He had totally valid points. I had totally valid points. And then when I came back to my senses, which wasn't until I called my mom, I kind of told her what was like, just what had happened, because we had been going to counseling, or marriage counseling pretty much, with my mom and my stepdad. And we just were really, she was just one of those people that I felt like I could go to for accountability. And she literally said to me exactly what I needed to hear. And it's like, when we're having those internal battles and we are about to make a huge decision, we need people that we can go to, right? That can understand, okay, I get what you're saying. Your feelings are totally valid, but what does God say about what you're going through? What does God say about where you are? And that was like kind of what she told me. She told me straight up what I had already knew. Her telling me that, well, all you can do is pray. That's all you can do. And then the whole thing why I thought it was crazy, like, about me calling her, was because before I got married, it was something that I prayed about. I prayed hard and I told God, give me a sign, if this is what you want me to do, because I don't ever want to walk into something if it's not in his will. Well, God had already told me years ago that this was my husband, never told me a timeline or anything like that. So me just praying and being able to get to a point where I could just see clearer. I don't even know if that's a word, but anyways, the point is that she told me, if you prayed on this and God told you this, then you have to trust God. And she literally told me everything that I already knew. But when you're just dealing with so much internally, you can't even turn the clock off. Like, it's just going. And it's on a reel, and you're like, you know that your feelings are justified, that they're true, that, okay, I'm able to feel how I feel, but what does God say? And what did God say to you? Well, if God told you this, now that it's tough, that doesn't mean that you can walk away. There was a reason why God revealed that this was my husband, and now there's a reason why why we're both going through everything that we're going through. And yes, him jumping to the whole divorce decision is a fast decision, but falling back on the fact that, well, God told you that was your husband. So what does that mean? That means you have to trust him. That means that you can't just walk away if that's not what God told you. And me being able to see that, and like when she said that, I was like, wow, I know that's what I'm supposed to do. But why is, like, I didn't understand why I was having such a hard time doing what I knew that I was already supposed to do. And then I'm having another internal battle. So I want to today really talk about the battles that we have when we know what we're supposed to do and we don't do it. It's like, what is it in us that's keeping us back, that's holding us, that's really just got us chained? At the end of the day, it is the devil. Like, he knows what you want. He knows God has something in store for your life. He knows that. So if he's trying to come in and destroy it, and it's like, it's the smallest things. Like, he comes in and we let him have it all. It's like, we work so hard, praying, fasting, going to church, reading our devotionals, watching Christian TikTok, following all these inspirational pages on Instagram. But it comes back to, like, when I'm stuck, like when I'm just stuck in it, when I'm stuck in it and I can't see straight, I can't like pull myself to do the things that I already know. It's like, we all need the people in our lives who are gonna tell us the truth. I could have called her and she could have just, given into everything I was saying. She could have been like, you're right, you're right, you're right. You know what? Do whatever you want. But it came back to her telling me, all you can do is pray. You can only control what you can control. And if that's what God promised you, stand on his promise. If he promised you that, that means you have to trust that what he said is going to be forever. Because God wouldn't put me in a situation and then just leave me there. And that's the one thing that sometimes we do lose focus and we do get caught up in the world. Like, it's so easy, especially when you're young in Christ, especially when you have all these things in the world distracting you, especially when we stop praying and stop fasting. Because even me, and the devil, he knew when to sneak in, right? Because when I'm in season, I'm really focused. I'm not listening to a lot of sermons. I'm really just focused in on my alignment with God. But what was so crazy was I was still thinking, I'm aligned with God. In my mind, I was still thinking that I'm on the right path to what he needs me to do. I'm doing what he needs me to do, and thinking for a split quick little few hours, because it wasn't a split second, but it was like a few hours when I was replaying in my mind, like, okay, what's happening? Like, what? Like, all I did was X, Y, and Z, and and then it just gets confused, and then it's like, oh no, that's the devil. Like, that is what he does. He sneaks in, like, ooh, right when he knows he can get you, right when you know you're in that rest season, right when you're not too distracted, but you're also not super focused. But for me, this whole situation, it was just a learning lesson, seriously. And I wanted to share that because I was thinking, like, wow, so many people are probably having these internal battles and asking why. Like, why is it taking God so long? We start to get to questioning what's going on. We start to question his plans. Like, God already revealed to me what it was. And I started questioning it because of what my husband was saying and because of the devil slipping into my mind. Because now I'm thinking, now I'm overthinking. Now I'm moving back into the control. Now I'm moving back into the worry. Now I'm moving away from trusting God because I'm so focused on this internal battle I'm having in my mind, because I know that I know that my feelings are not lying to me. No, they're not. But I should have been asking, instead of like going back and forth with like this idea if I should be with him, if I shouldn't be with him. I really should have been asking or praying. First, I should have prayed first before I did anything, before I moved. And instead, I got caught up in my feelings because they were justified. I'm thinking, okay, well, let me get caught up in my feelings when I'm not really thinking, what is God trying to teach me in this situation? What is he trying to bring to my eyes? What is he trying to take away from my eyes? What is he trying to get me to see? How is he trying to get me to see this differently, see myself differently, pray differently, fast differently? We don't look at those terrible times, those moments where we're just so stressed out, and we don't ask ourselves those questions. We automatically jump to the worst of the worst when I could have if I could have redone it, I should have first prayed, then asked God, okay, in this moment, let me see what you're trying to get me to see. Let me learn what you're trying to get me to learn from this pain, this crushing, this sadness, these tears. What is all of this for? And sometimes we forget that all those things that we're going through, we're still in Corona. We're still partially shut down. If you can't go to certain states and all this stuff. So it's like, what is God trying to get us to do differently? What is he trying to get us to see differently? What is he trying to get us to say differently? What is he trying to do by allowing this to happen? Because we know that the devil is, he's busy, right? But he's trying to get us to see, do, and act differently. God is allowing the devil to affect us in this way so that we can ultimately see the lesson before the hurt, before we make the decisions, before we act. And I think that is what, when my mom just said that to me, and it was like, what I said, and I said it back, like, I already know what I'm supposed to do. But, and I think I said, it's just hard, because that was the truth, because the devil had his hands around my neck, and it was like this thing of like us not knowing if we should just separate and take time. And it's just like, but what did God say? And then I prayed, and I even printed out, and I'm looking up at the wall because I printed out, it's called application for verification of dissolution of marriage, something record file. So this paper, I'm guessing, is a divorce paper. I don't really know. I think it is though, because it says dissolution of marriage. So I printed it out and I wrote in Sharpie, in thick Sharpie, huge letters. That's why I can't see one of the words, but I wrote on there, "Miss me, devil." And if you know who Sister Tanya is, you know, "Miss me, devil." Because first off, I don't even know what the paper is called. Clearly, it's not called a divorce form. It's just like a marriage form. But like I could have got caught up in, you know, what he was saying and what the devil was saying, and just having me feeling all these ways. And I could have literally got caught up in that. And it's like, that is why now I'm seeing why God doesn't bless us with more than we can handle. And now it's making sense, because it's like, all I needed to do in that situation was calm down, not freak out. I needed to pray first. I needed to not ask God, but I needed to look at what God was trying to teach me in the situation. And now that I look back, it's like, okay, God, He want me to pray first, because that's what I was supposed to do. And so many times I'm thinking about it, and it's like, am I praying first? What if I'm not? Because I'm not super intentional about praying first. So am I praying first before I'm going to other people? I know sometimes I am, but how consistent am I with that? And it's like, if we don't learn to pray first, and just like speaking from my own situation, sometimes, like if I would have went to someone else, if I didn't have people around me to go to, if I didn't surround myself with God-fearing people, I could have went to anyone. I could have went to another guy and told him my problems. I could have went to anyone else who wasn't rooted in God, and they would have said, oh yeah, sign those papers. And you know, that would have just been that. But when you have people in your life, even when even when the internal battles start, even when we start to get those, even when we start to just feel super confused about what God is doing for us in this season, having a community, having people around us, having just those God-fearing people, those prayer warriors that can pray for you, like you tell them what they're going through, and then behind closed doors they're praying for you. Because I mean, that's one thing I know about my marriage, is if there's people praying for me, and there's people praying for my husband, and there's people praying for our union. So having those people around you who know what you're going through, and they're praying for you, and they got other people praying for you, it just means everything. And you start to see those prayers, you start to see God moving in your life, start moving in you. And you know, that's the most dangerous thing about the internal battles, is because sometimes they can force us to turn to the wrong places, to turn to the wrong people, to lean on the wrong things, to, you know, go to social media and vent out everything, where certain people can see who shouldn't be seeing that type of stuff. And, you know, yeah, I'm bringing it to you on this podcast, but this has already happened. It's over and done with. And honestly, my mindset has completely shifted, because it's like I took a step back once I got off the phone with my mom, you know, because she kind of got me together like real quick. I was like, that's when I started to pray, and I even wrote down a prayer, and I might not, I don't know, I might post it. I was gonna try to hear. I could probably try to. So yes, for anybody that's not listening, I just picked up the computer and turned it so anybody watching can see the paper. But yeah, like I wasn't playing, and I put a prayer underneath, and I don't want to look at that paper anymore. not plain, not with my name on it, not with nothing else. And, God already told me what it was. So I can't question that, and I'm not going to question it. But it really, like, this whole situation has allowed me to learn from everything that has happened over the past 2.5 weeks. And I feel like I'm really at a place now where I could really speak on this and just let y'all into my internal battles, because they get real. They get real, especially when things get tough. And I think that's why, like, God is constantly pushing me to talk about how to deal with things when they get tough. Because when life is good, and when relationships are good, and when friendships are good, and when our relationship with God is good, and it's just so tight, we don't have many questions. We're not like looking to go run in, talk to anybody. But when we start having those battles and things we get confused. We don't know where to go, who to turn to, who to trust, who we can speak to about certain things. Those battles, they're real battles. They're battles that you're having with yourself, and no one else can see it, but you might be taking that out on somebody else in your life. And that was why I wanted to share that with him. And that is why we have to be open to sharing with the people around us, because we don't want those battles just going on and on. We want to be able to get through. The point of a battle is to get through it. We got to see what's going on so we can fight the battle to get through it. The point of a battle is not to be fighting for your entire life, for your entire marriage, for your entire relationship, for your, entire being. It's not to be in battle constantly over the feelings that you have, over the relationships that you have. No, God wants us ultimately to give all that to him. And that was my problem. Like, not forgiving myself was something that I realized recently. I didn't even know. I didn't know why everything my husband was doing was just annoying me, to the point where I just didn't even want to deal with it. But it was dangerous. It was dangerous to keep up this internal battle. It was selfish. It wasn't smart, because at the end of the day, I was suffering because my heart wasn't in a good place. And I think that's why I was just so happy that I called my mom, because, call her, talk to her, because I didn't know. I didn't really, at that point, it was just, I was at the end. I didn't really understand. But definitely having those people in your life that you can turn to is important. Like, I don't care about anything else. And guess what? The crazy thing is that you might come to a point where this type of thing happens often, or happens when you're in a particular season. Because that's one thing that I know, that my season that I'm in has changed. I'm not in this waiting season that I was in for so long. I definitely feel myself not being in that season anymore. Got the confirmation from God that I'm not in that season anymore. So now that I'm in this like uprooting season, I feel like the devil really pushing me, like his hand, he's trying to really push me. And it's like, that's why I'm going to keep saying, like Sister Tanya said, miss me, devil, because if you think you're going to come that hard at me, you got me mistaken. Like, I'm just not going to play games with him. I'm sorry. But he can go mess with someone else. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to play the games with him or any of that. And that's kind of how we have to be with him. You got to put your foot down, because guess what? He's going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back until we really see the lessons that are in the situations that we're dealing with. So it's like it might not be a terrible situation that you're going through, but you have to see the lesson. Even if it's a good time in your life, there are things happening around you that God is trying to show you. You need to learn from this, because then if we don't learn from that, it's going to happen again. And this time it's going to probably hurt a little more. It might not have hurt the first time, but God's going to put you through that test again. And it might sting a little the second time. He's going to put you through that test the third time. And it might hurt a little more the third time. He's going to put you through that. And this is why you're in the same season, because there's no way to get out of that season that you're in until you are learning and changing and growing and becoming the person that God needs you to be. So that fourth time, that fifth time, that is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. And I promise this is a lesson that in my heart, I don't think it's the first time that God's tried to get me to see. But this time, it hurt. It hurt to the point where I went and I told somebody, because it wasn't worth this internal battle. And that's why it's so great to just have people in your life and be rooted in God and be reading your Bible and be doing your devotionals and meditating in the morning or at night or on your lunch or whatever it is, and just surrounding yourself and ourselves in who He is. Because guess what? God's going to put you through those tests, and there's going to be somebody on the other side that you're going to confide in, and they're going to just speak life into you. And what they say is really going to change your heart, because God wants us to change and grow. He doesn't want us to be having internal battles every day for the rest of our life. No, he's putting you through this. He's crushing you and molding you and changing you and pushing you so that you can ultimately become the person that He needs you to be. And it doesn't matter at what point in your faith you are or your relationship with God. It's about, until you start to be obedient, until you start to see what God is doing in your life, you're not gonna change seasons. That the way we understand God, our knowledge of Him, how we work for Him, it all stays stagnant when we don't work, when we're not surrounding ourselves with certain people, changing certain things that God really needs us to change, when we're not looking inward and seeing, okay, God, I see what you did here. I see the lesson in this. So now I know how I have to grow from it, whether it's, no matter what it is, losing someone, because there's a lot going on right now. So there's people passing away. There's just so much, and there's so much for us to pay attention to, especially with so many people being home and stores being so crowded, lines being so long, only being able to buy one thing of paper towel and there's only 4 in there. These things are all happening for a reason. And when we start to look at our lives as in, these are lessons, God is trying to teach us something, we can really begin to grow, and our minds begin to grow, and our faith and our love for God and everything that He truly needs us to be, we start to become. We start to become the flowers that He had already knew we would be in Him. But that doesn't happen until we start to move and to work and to really change and grow in Him the way that He would do it, the way that He wants us to do it. And if you're really struggling with that, like for me, I always notice when I'm kind of getting unaligned with God, because one thing that I really struggle with for so long is control, is this idea that, okay, if this happens, I gotta take control. And so when things happen, it's in my subconscious, it's a part of who I am. I'm putting up finger ear quotes, it's a part of who I am, because it's who I've always been. And now God is trying to get my heart to change. But God also knows that our heart isn't going to change overnight. He knows that. He knows that it's going to take us all some time, but are we intentional? Are we seeing the lessons? Are we praying? Are we fasting? What are we praying for? What are we fasting for? Are we aligned with his plan for our lives? Like so many times, and it's so crazy, since I've been growing in God, God immediately shows me signs, and the discernment that he's giving me is so crazy. And this is why I just want y'all, like when I say I want y'all to just grab hold to God and who he is and everything that he is, because I promise you, you will not be disappointed. You are like, it's gonna be a whole new world that you've never even seen, especially if you're in turmoil right now with COVID and just everything. And if you're not in turmoil, those internal battles, don't worry. The devil, he knows your weaknesses. And if he knows he can get in at the slightest chance and you're a generational curse breaker and you trying to fight for everything that's yours, that everything that God promised you, if that's what you're fighting for, he's coming. And you have to know that if God promised it to you, it's going to happen. God's promises and his word, you can literally depend on all of his promises. Look, don't even question it. It's nothing to question. Like, I would not even have a conversation with someone who wanted to question who God was, because I've seen him show up for me time and time again. And why, I don't know, why is it like I've seen you show up for me so many times, God, but why am I questioning who you are now? I don't know. It's the devil. Like he knows. And if we can just get to that point, look, we all have to hook arms and just stump him down, because he's not going anywhere. And when I say getting around people who are going to fight for you, who are going to fight in prayer, who are going to come to you and tell you when you're wrong, who are going to tell you what you need to do, even when it's so hard and you don't want to do it, those are the people that you need. And if you're one of those people who's like, I am who I am and I'm not changing, look, God is going to make you uncomfortable. He's going to put people in your life who are going to push you, and you might hate them for a little bit. You literally might hate them for a while for pushing you, but just know that God's going to get his work done. He's going to get his plan fulfilled. He's going to do what he said he was going to do, and that's why we got to just trust him. Whew, I said a lot, y'all. I'm really sorry. I said a lot, but I hope it all made sense. I hope if y'all dealing with the internal battles, y'all really have people that y'all can go to, especially right now. And if you don't, like, if you're really just in a place where you don't have anyone at all to go to and you don't understand anything at all that's going on, you don't understand nothing that I just said, but you want to know God and you love him, but you want to get to know him more, if you're just confused, you're like, I don't know who he is, but I want to get to know him, but it's hard. Like, if that's you and like you just don't know where you're going in life, but I'm here with you, because that was me. Like, that has been me, and I wish I had someone to kind of shake me and wake me up and put that pressure that God was probably trying to put on me before, that I was just blind to sin and I was just like not having it. If I could go back and have that, I would. And honestly, that's really why I was pushed, and God really pushed me to start my own mentoring program for people of all ages, any age really, who are trying to grow closer to him, who do need extra accountability when it comes to just loving God and following Him and allowing Him to do the rest. That's it. Who just need that guidance, who don't know. Like, if you just don't know, like, I'm confused. I don't know what God needs me to do. I don't know who I am. I love Him, but I can't trust Him. I'm super controlling and I don't know how to get rid of it. Like, if these are all the feelings that you're having and you just feel lost and nobody in your family is in a place to help you, your family is just all over and you don't know what to do, like, I started the program for you. And guess what? That wasn't even something that I put on the website. So that must have just been God talking straight through me. But yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know that I am starting my mentoring program and you can get a free consultation now on our website. And I'll leave all this information in the show notes. But I just really hope this episode blessed you. And I really hope, like, if you are out there and you are just having the internal battle, kind of like how I was having one, you feel like you need to forgive yourself or anybody else, look, start with one step at a time. Start with identifying the issues. And you can still subscribe right now to our journal assignments. I'll be helping y'all walk through these types of things. And I'm actually doing a mastermind on August 31st. It'll be at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I hope that's not too late or too early for some of y'all, but I hope you can join. It's only $5, just something that I'm doing to push me to that I'm going to say it over. It's just something that God is doing, that He's pushing me to do, pushing me outside my comfort zone, because y'all know how I feel about this. And I'm really trying to change my mindset and stop saying that and completely take that out of my mind. But it's still so new and different that, I'm just going with it. And if you thought this episode blessed you, honestly, I'm just going to say go ahead and share it. If you know somebody else who's struggling, who are just having a hard time, I mean, there's just so much going on right now. And I just know there are so many people just needing to hear something inspirational, and just they need to know that they're not alone, because you are not alone. Like, this is coming from someone who, like, I knew what to do. I already knew what to do. I just needed, I guess God needed me to just hear it again from someone else. And look, I heard it again, and that was that. And that was all she wrote. So yes, that wraps up another episode. And I will talk to y'all next week.